Hi guys, Everything NFL here, and today I am back bringing you guys a brand new video going over my personal top 5 running backs in the National Football League as of today. And quickly before we get in the video, make sure you guys go down and please like and subscribe, because over 90% of my viewers on this channel are not subscribed, so please take 10 seconds of your time and go down and subscribe before we get into the video. And no more messing about, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with some honourable mentions and then move on into the actual main top 5. Let's start off with the honourable mentions. We have Le'Veon Bell of the New York Jets. He was drafted in the second round of the 2013 NFL Draft. Bell near enough made an impact straight out the gate. He was good in his rookie year, but took off in 2014 when he rushed for 1,361 rushing yards and 8 scores, and showed why he wasn't to be messed with at the running back position. He suffered with injuries in 2015 and wasn't as productive, but over the course of 2016 and 17 he was undoubtedly the best running back in football, rushing for 1,268 yards and 7 scores and 1,291 yards and 9 scores respectively. He took 2018 off and signed with the Jets in 2019, but only compiled 789 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Jets fans and Le'Veon Bell himself will be hoping he can bounce back to his best in 2020. And the next honourable mention is Nick Chubb for the Cleveland Browns. Had a fantastic season considering he was on an immensely disappointing Cleveland Browns roster. He has grown into the main back in Cleveland, but he over the next year or two, he should blossom into one of the best running backs in the National Football League. In his rookie year, he rushed for just under 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, and improved on that in 2019 with 1,494 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. And he was also selected to the Pro Bowl. And our final honourable mention is Derrick Henry for the Tennessee Titans. Won the NFL rushing title in 2019 and was arguably the most important piece in the Tennessee Titans team that went on an incredible run to the AFC Championship game, where they eventually lost to future Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs. He rushed for 1,540 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns. Absolutely incredible, but we will wait and see if he can replicate that in 2020. He was also good in 2018 as well. He's been good in 2018 and 2019. Let's just see if he can replicate that in 2020. And he also made the Pro Bowl and was a second-team All-Pro nominee. And now we move on to the top 5. At number 5, we have Dalvin Cook for the Minnesota Vikings. The Florida State product was selected in the second round of the 2017 NFL Draft and has been a perfect fit for coach Mike Zimmer and his offense. He's a twitchy back that makes finding the cutbacks and running lanes look easy, and is a bit of a tricky player to work out. He only had 74 carries in his rookie year and compiled 354 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. He would slowly improve in 2018 and keep gradually improving his numbers, as he moved up with 133 carries for 615 yards and only 2 touchdowns again. But 2019 would be Cook's big breakout season, incredible season. 250 carries, which averages around 15 to 16 carries a game. He rushed for a phenomenal 1,135 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns with an impressive 4.5 yards per attempt. Vikings fans will be hoping he goes off again in 2020 and shows why he deserves to be talked about as a top 5 back in the NFL. Now moving on to number 4, we have Alvin Kamara for the New Orleans Saints. Kamara was slept on during the 2017 draft process and was viewed as a second to third round talent. The Tennessee product showed a lot of potential, but no one was willing to take the gamble on the man, who had some off-the-field issues at the college level. However, he was selected 67th overall by the Saints in the draft, and we all know how good he has been since he entered the league. He's a bit of a do-it-all back who rushes well and is a fantastic catcher out the backfield. In 2017, he rushed for 728 yards and 8 touchdowns, and also had 826 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns, which is amazing, and he was going to improve on that going forward. 2018 was his best season of his career, when he rushed for 883 yards and 14 touchdowns, which is insane, and he also had 709 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns as well. He showed why he was a superstar in the 2019 season. He rushed for 797 yards and 5 touchdowns, and also had 533 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. A bit of a down year last year for Alvin Kamara, but I still believe he is the 4th best running back in the league. But you could debate any of those honourable mentions all the way up to number 4, because personally, people aren't going to agree with this, but I don't think Alvin Kamara is an elite running back just yet. I think he's still got a lot to learn on his game before he finally breaks out and becomes a top running back in the league. And now, moving on to number 3, we have Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys. After impressing beyond belief at the college levels for Ohio State, he was selected 4th overall by the Dallas Cowboys in the 2016 NFL Draft. He impressed straight out the gate and was an instant game changer for the boys. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler and led the league in rushing in 2016 and 2018. His rookie year was by far his best year of his career and probably the best rookie year for a running back of all time. He rushed for 1,631 yards and 15 touchdowns in just his rookie year. Absolutely incredibly insane year, which he will likely never top again, I don't think. But Ezekiel Elliott, he's still got so much potential. He's still so young that he took a step back in 2017 due to injuries, but was still good, rushing for 983 yards and 7 touchdowns. And he was even better in 2018, rushing for 1,434 yards and 6 touchdowns. And he was even better in 2019. And this is what made Zeke one of my favourite players in the NFL. He rushed for 1,357 yards and 12 touchdowns. And at the young age of 24, more greatness is to come from Ezekiel Elliott. I used to not really like Ezekiel Elliott too much because I'm not the biggest fan of the Dallas Cowboys myself. But that's just, you guys know that. But Ezekiel Elliott is fantastic. I don't think there's anyone like him. I think he's just on the cusp of being with the top 2, but I don't think he's there yet. He's always been consistent, and I think he could. This isn't a lie, but I think over the next 2-3 years, if the top 2 don't do as well, Zeke could possibly put himself up as the number 1 running back in the NFL. Now moving on to number 2, we have my favourite player in the NFL, Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. Saquon was touted as a generational talent coming out of Penn State University, and I think it's a fact that he lived up to that hype. He was selected 2nd overall in 2018 by the New York Giants and was the best player on the team near on instantly. He rushed for an incredible 1,307 yards while scoring 13 touchdowns on the ground. And he also posed insanely good receiving numbers with 721 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. This is just his rookie year. That adds up to 2,028 all-purpose yards and 17 touchdowns in just his rookie year. He also broke the record for most receptions by a rookie running back in a single season. Insane. He went into his 2nd season with super high expectations, and he fulfilled those to a certain extent, despite missing 3 games during the season because of an ankle injury. He compiled 1,003 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns while collecting 438 receiving yards and 2 scores. So another overall good season where he had about 1,400 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns. So a fantastic season. That would be classed great if his rookie year wasn't so good. So another overall good season where he had that amount of yards and scores as I just said. But personally, I don't think there is another back in the NFL with as refined of a skill set as Barkley has. He's going to be a cornerstone for the Giants franchise and offense moving forward. So let's hope the Giants just don't waste his prime years like they've done with so much talent. And now going on to number 1. Could it have been any more obvious? We have Christian McCaffrey, running back for the Carolina Panthers. The Stanford standout was selected with the 8th overall pick by the Panthers in 2017. In his rookie year, he was used more as a receiving back, but played a big role, compiling just over 1,000 all-purpose yards and 7 touchdowns. He was an absolute beast in 2018, compiling 1,098 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns, and also had 867 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, which are phenomenal numbers, but no one knew how much of a monster he would become heading into the 2019 season. He became the first player in NFL history to have over 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards in the same season. It's just incredible. He rushed for an immense 1,387 yards and 15 touchdowns, posing an insane 4.8 yards per carry. He also had 1,005 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. That adds up to 2,392 all-purpose yards and 19 touchdowns on the season. Incredible. Even though he played on such a poor team in the Carolina Panthers, in my opinion, he should have been in conversation for MVP. He was so good, and there's no one like Christian McCaffrey in the NFL. And that's why, in my opinion, he is the best running back in the NFL. And that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back on Friday with a brand new video coming out then. So make sure before you click off the video, make sure you go down and subscribe. And if you stuck around to the end, I really appreciate the time out of your day. And I'll be back Friday with a brand new video. See you later, guys.